everyone, welcome back to Make the Music. This is part of some of the new content that I'm doing for the channel, some of the new stuff that I want to talk about and discuss other than just guitar tone match videos and things like that. We're kind of taking a new direction with things, and I know that was supposed to start a little while ago. I got busy, but now it's time to start making regular things about how to record, mix, release your own music, which is really what I want to help people with, since it's such an empowering thing to do, especially this day and age. It really helps you express yourself artistically, and it doesn't matter where you start. You can definitely learn to do it. You can definitely learn to put together your own tracks and create something that you're really proud of. But I think one thing we have to manage when we get into recording and mixing, I definitely experienced this, is the expectations versus the reality and the amount of time it takes to reach that new reality. And so I really want to discuss that here so that when you start getting into this thing, you have the right mindset and you don't drop out early, or you don't give up early because, you know, you weren't getting the results you wanted early on. And just know that it's kind of natural not to be great at it from the very beginning, just like anything else. Here's the thing. I think most musicians, they kind of blend the idea that, oh, because I am a good musician at X means I can also be good at recording right now, or recording and mixing right now because I'm good at my instrument. I'm a good musician. And it doesn't always 100% translate, and I'll explain why. It's because just having some artistic ability with a musical instrument does not mean that you're now good at recording and mixing, because it's actually basically an entirely new instrument. And even people who use consoles, or mix engineers and mastering engineers who use consoles, they describe it as an instrument, right? And so they describe recording and mixing and creating tracks as almost a separate instrument. And so you need to almost look at it as, okay, maybe I'm good at guitar, or I'm good at piano, or I'm good at whatever. This recording thing is a whole nother instrument that I need to learn. And if you've learned an instrument before, you know it takes months, years, sometimes decades to be proficient with that instrument. And so if you've come at it from this mindset where you're tracking your progress, okay, you're practicing often, you're trying to learn, and then you're trying to improve as time goes on, you're going to have the right mindset. But if you go into, I should be able to learn this thing quickly and bang out great tracks immediately, that's where you're going to run into some problems. So here's kind of the timeline for the musician who gets into recording and mixing. They are maybe good at an instrument. They might be good at a few instruments. They might be a really talented musician, right? And they play great live. They play great with others. You might be a great musician, and that's awesome. And so you start getting into recording. You're like, okay, I want to start recording my own material. I think I got some good stuff to offer. I think I've got some, amazing art that I want to put together. How do I start doing this thing without going to a studio and paying someone, X amount of money to do it? I want to do it on my own. I want to figure this thing out. So the first thing you figure out is that, okay, I need some gear, right? Okay, I need a computer. Okay, that's easy. I got that. I got to get an audio interface. I got to get, some microphones, some cables, some other stuff. And then you go on the internet. Okay, maybe I need some plugins too. Maybe I need some virtual instruments. Maybe I need some things like that. Okay, so now you've already probably invested money. And while you can build a great home studio on a very low budget, most people who are serious about music, they want to put more than a little bit of money, into building their home studio. They want to really make it something that they're proud of, and they can easily create, the art they want to create with it. So you get into it. Now you have all this new stuff that you don't know how to use, right? You got a DAW. Sorry about that. You got a DAW, okay, digital audio workstation. You have no clue how to use this thing. You have no clue what the hotkey commands are, how to set up tracks, how to record anything. You have no idea what you're doing unless you have prior experience, in which case you're not really a beginner at that point. Okay, I got this DAW. Now I got this audio interface. I got to figure out how to make those two work together. How do I record stuff with the audio interface? What input do I put things at, to record a clean signal? Okay, it's time to record a vocal. Okay, I need a mic. I guess I need a pop filter as well. How far away do I stand from the mic exactly? How do I sing into it? Oh, I'm not used to singing with headphones on. That's a new challenge. It's tough for my intonation to be correct. Now I'm having pitch problems. Okay, now I've got to learn, how do I mix my voice? How do I make it sound good with everything else? And so you get overwhelmed with all this stuff, right? And meanwhile, you're listening to your favorite tracks created by amazing artists who have, are supported by great recording engineers, recording great instruments, great sounding instruments into great sounding gear that is then mixed by amazing mix engineers and then mastered by amazing mastering engineers that were initially created by great songwriters. And so you're comparing this amazing end product with what you're starting with, which is just, not really what you were hoping for. when you got into the whole thing. And that's just, incredibly natural. When I first started making recordings, they were absolute junk, right? And even amongst those junk, there might be some, little bits of cool ideas in there, but the recording itself, the audio file that I ended up with, or the song I ended up with, was not good at all. It just didn't cut it. And so you end up disappointed. You're like, why is this not sounding good? I'm a good musician. I should be able to make this work. And it can get frustrating really quickly. And so here's a few things that, mostly two things that if you try and understand these facets of getting into recording and mixing, it's really going to help you have the correct mindset. One is being good at an instrument does not mean you're good at songwriting and arrangement. I'll repeat that. Just because you're technically proficient at using an instrument does not mean you're good at songwriting and arranging. They are two different things, okay? You can maybe play, a mile a minute on the guitar. You may be amazing on the piano, okay? You can just bang out everything. You may be an amazing drummer. You can play blast beats, whatever. Does that mean you're good at writing songs that are compelling and creating arrangements that are compelling for the listener to listen to? No, they are not the same thing. I'd say when I got into recording, I was a pretty decent guitar player, not as good as I thought I was when I started recording, because I realized my timing was absolutely awful. But from a pure technical standpoint, I could play. I was a decent guitarist. But I get into this recording thing, and you have no idea, the amount that goes into, or the amount of thinking you have to put into creating a song and an arrangement, because you just never thought about it that way. And maybe if you played in a band, maybe you songwrite with your band, and maybe you had a better idea than most. But when it comes to creating all the ideas on your own, you don't really know where to start. You're like, okay, usually I have my bandmates here with me. They usually help me, map out the arrangement. The drummer starts it up, the vocalist has an idea, whatever, and usually I can make this thing happen. But now you're like, now I gotta do it all on my own. I gotta come up with the chord progressions on my own. And even if you can write a good song, let's say you're a solo singer songwriter and you can write compelling lyrics and melodies and you know how to put a song together. Well, now you got to produce it, and that's a whole nother instrument and a whole nother ball game. And so, if you're good at your instrument and you want to get good at this recording thing, you need to start putting more time into listening to professional mixes to understand how the songwriting is set up, how the song structure is set up. What makes a good compelling song? Is it that melody? Is it that lyric? Is it it's likely a combination of those things, right? Does it have an interesting tagline? Do they use an interesting arrangement? Start paying attention to how songs are set up and formatted and what their arrangement is like. Second, start paying attention to the production, specifically two portions of the production: the sound design, and then how the production is layered throughout the arrangement of the entire song. Now, it might be really simple music. You might be into really simple, singer songwriter, piano, acoustic guitar stuff. Okay, still listen for all the layers, the details, some of the fine print of that music. When does the piano volume increase? Maybe they layer another acoustic guitar in the second chorus, or maybe there's that tambourine I never heard before that pops up in the final bridge or the final chorus or something like that. Start paying attention to those things. And the first thing you're going to want to do is start learning how to songwrite and create those great arrangements by listening to professional songs, getting help from other good songwriters. And then the second thing is learning how to produce a song and layer it correctly so that it builds and so that it really creates tension and creates the mood that you're going for. Now, here's the thing: your ear is not going to be great in the beginning, okay? Even if you're, like I said, you could be a great musician, you may have perfect pitch, but there's a difference between a perfect pitch and an ear for music and an ear for production. They're two almost completely different things. An ear for production is understanding what sounds were going to go well in the production and how is it going to work together. Okay, that's why sound design is so crucial in creating amazing recordings. Sound design is so important. I cannot stress it enough. I think there's other videos on YouTube which shows, like, here's a song with poor sound design, here's a song with good sound design. I want to do a video on that just to show you how important it can be. It can be the same song, same arrangement, chords, melodies, everything, even same layering of production, but just different sound selection can make the song sound completely different. Could be good, or could be two different versions of a good thing or a good and a bad thing based on your judgment. But good sound design is going to help you get punchy, great sounding mixes and recordings. It doesn't come in the mixing phase, really. It comes in the production phase. And so having the ear for, okay, they use this kind of snare drum. It's got a really, it's really high tuned. It really pokes through and it works well in this genre. Or it's a really low tuned snare drum. Or maybe they're using a lot of samples. or there's almost no reverb on this voice, or there's a lot of reverb on this voice. Paying attention to those things is really going to help you improve. Like I said, your sound design ear is not going to be great early on, but you're going to learn how to layer production. This is what I heard when I go back and listen to my earlier recordings, is that I actually, as I started to learn, I did a good job of layering things. Like, it felt like the production was building, the parts made sense. That was all fine. I was doing that all correctly. Just the sound design wasn't great. So it's just like, okay, I'm glad that I put this part in here that works in the song, but like, I wouldn't pick that amp now, or I wouldn't pick that drum choice, or the bass. I'm glad the bass guitar is coming up here. Just the tone is not quite right. It wasn't compressed the way it needed to be, or the amp tone was just not good. Or, hey, I layered all these background vocals. Just why was there too much reverb on them? Decisions like this, sound design decisions like that. So when you start getting into recording, and you start learning your tools, have some patience for yourself. Be passionate, want to get better, but be patient and and celebrate the small victories. Like, hey, this recording I did was a little bit better than this one, and I'm slowly improving. Hey, my vocal mixes are getting better. I'm having people listen to my music. They're liking it a little more. They think that's getting closer, and really just focus on that progress instead of, I want a professional sounding track on day one. It's not going to happen. It really is not, unless you're someone, you're the top 1%. You're just not going to get there. You don't know enough about these other instruments: production, arrangement, mixing, recording, mastering. You don't know enough about these things yet. You haven't played these instruments enough to create something good with it. And so that's sort of the message of this video. Okay, have a little bit of patience for yourself. I wanted to start doing more videos on recording, mixing, arrangement, sound design, all that stuff. If you have any suggestions, leave it in a comment down below. Please like this video and subscribe for more content like this. It'll be coming, I guarantee it, at this point. And thank you so much for watching, and get back to making the music.